And Morgan, we are talking about the atrocity that happened over the weekend is developing story actually, and just what's happening in Israel. And we're going to get into some support of Israel and a certain celebrity or socialite who posted about it in support and then is dealing with the fallout and had to delete her post. And it's kind of ridiculous when you read about it, but we'll get to that.
I think most of that social media influencer stuff is absolutely ridiculous. And, I have very little interest in any of that. But it kind of goes to show you the way the public mood is right now. And you're going to see this. You're already seeing it. Tampa Bay was featured in national news. I don't know if you knew that because of the celebratory event that was held over in Temple Terrace regarding these attacks. And we're going to share there's an interview of one of the attendees who's going to explain what they're there doing. This, as you can see around the world, there are protests which are in favor of the Palestinians. I don't know if you call them protests or celebratory gatherings in favor of the Palestinians, supposedly. And of course, there's not that many. I mean, there's 2 million people in Gaza, but Gaza is Hamas. It's not the same as the Palestinian Authority that controls the West Bank. It's a much more hardened terrorist group that is absolutely dedicated to completely eliminating Israel, just like Hezbollah is in Lebanon to the north of the country, just like Iran is one country east of the country across Iraq. And, of course, they've long said they're dedicated to the annihilation of the state of Israel. And so what happened, over the weekend, I mean, you had the numbers haven't quite gotten there on the official numbers yet, but I believe that they will. And you've got, I think, well over 1,000 people have been killed. Now, the numbers are somewhere around 900. Sometimes I see 700, but that's an old number. I think they're around over 900. So I think as they continue to locate bodies, find people, those numbers are going to continue to rise. There are still terrorists right now operating inside of Israel, which is hard to believe. I mean, the response from the IDF has not been as vigorous as history would have indicated you would expect. In fact, there currently are a lot of people in Israel questioning how this could possibly have happened. They have the most sophisticated, technologically advanced army in the entire world. The sensors that they use to monitor these borderland areas are, they pick up on, a small bird flying through. So it's very hard for people in Israel right now to understand how hundreds of Hamas terrorists could have come up to the border wall, breached the wall, and actually come through with no military response to speak of. And, some of the people over there are talking about it was about 6 hours before the first units arrived. Now, you're talking about a very small country. I have some friends who are Israeli and got some other connections and received some information. And, just think about the country itself. I mean, you could fly a helicopter from one side of the country to the other in something like 3 minutes. A jet passes over in well under a minute. So the response time is strange. The slow response time is very, very strange to the Israelis. And they're talking about this. You can go online and find people posting about this, and I can tell you this is a big discussion in Israel and will continue to be a big discussion. But for now, I think the focus is on eliminating the immediate threat. They have about 1,000 Israelis have been killed, including some Americans, including people from other parts of the world, Europeans, Germans, Tibetans. Like we said, Shani Lauk, the German tattoo artist, 30 years old, who was paraded around. And, of course, the Hamas fighters terrorists, were claiming that she was an Israeli soldier, right? That was their big victory. Really, it was some poor German tattoo artist with dreadlocks who was at a peace music festival in the Negev desert, and That's the level of soldier that they feel comfortable taking on. You understand that? That's the level of soldier. They feel comfortable shooting, murdering, 7-8-year-old children. They feel comfortable murdering families, completely innocent families, not taking up arms, not defending themselves, just murdering them. That's what they feel comfortable. You don't see them lining up across from the IDF, do you? You don't see them lining up to directly fight the Israeli soldiers. What brave guys they are, huh? I mean, they won't even take on military. They're going to target soft targets. They're going to target civilians. These are war crimes. These are absolutely war crimes. I can't imagine if any country did this to another country. Palestine's not a country. But if any country did this to another country, do you understand how the whole international community would be up in arms? It just cannot be allowed, right? I mean, look what Russia's done to you. They don't have anything like this. The Russians haven't gone in and murdered a bunch of children in Ukraine, kidnapped a bunch of children, raped a bunch of women. That's not what's been going on. Nobody fights like this because this is not fighting. This is sheer terrorism. This is murder. This is designed to try to achieve political ends. So how can people be out in support of this? That's what I don't understand. And how can people be celebrating this? I mean, there were celebratory events all over the world, including here in Tampa, which is just shocking. But, of course, we do have a very, big Muslim community. If you remember the name Sami al-Arian, hello, USF professor, and yeah, they brought all these people over here. Go to Temple Terrace. Walk around Little Palestine. That's what Temple Terrace is. I don't know if you've been over there. All the restaurants are Palestinian. Everything is Palestinian over in Temple Terrace. So you take a walk around. There's a real ghetto and culture of people here. I don't say ghetto, just an enclave sort of people here who agree with the Palestinians. So they had a rally at 56th Street and Fowler Avenue yesterday at the Boston Market. I wonder if there's any additional symbolism there. Boston, the Tsarnaev brothers, the Boston bombing. Anyway, at Boston Market is where they chose to have their rally, and they had something north of 200 people show up there, and, all in celebration. Celebration. They're happy. You can watch. There were, I think, about a dozen or maybe 20 Israeli supporters show up with Israeli flags, and you can see the Palestinian protester people are all giving them the middle finger, yelling at them. I mean, just really, I guess, is there no compassion here? I don't get it. These people, they seem to be subject to an ideology that is incapable of feeling compassion for non-Muslims.
I'm reading a story about one of those who was at that yesterday, and she is pro-Palestinian and said something good about Palestinians is that they are not afraid to die for their land. They'd rather die with dignity instead of being chased out of their land. Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about they killed innocent women and children.
Yeah,
murdered.
They absolutely did. And that the whole thing about Israel stealing their land, it's all such a lie. I mean, it's just such a lie. I mean, you need to look into the history of this, but, you'll have a hard time, I'll be honest with you, you'll have a hard time finding the truth on the internet. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.